Hello everyone, welcome to day 5 of Prelims Rescue series. In this video, we are going to cover the topics related to climatology and also some of the topics of January current affairs of 2024. Now let's dive into the video. First of all, we are going to discuss about the British type of climate. Basically, the British type of climate experiences the westerly winds. In the examination, the examiner may ask that the British type of climate experiences easterlies or northeastern trade winds. So the statement is wrong because British type of climate experiences westerlies, and also the temperature here is between 5 degrees to 15 degrees temperature. That is, the temperature or the zone is cooler zone. Okay, cooler zone, and the precipitation is also high. The precipitation is high because of the westerlies, and the region is also a coastal region because the water which the westerlies are taking will deposit water in this coastal region as a rain and moves away. So the precipitation is also high. That's why it will be having the good vegetation. So here the vegetation is the deciduous type of vegetation. That means deciduous forests are the forest which shed their leaves in the summer season to store the water for their usage, and in the rainy seasons the trees contains leaves, and also it will be in a very green color. Now the species here are oak, elm, ash, beech, poplar, and hornbeam. Now let's see the geostrophic winds. Basically, geostrophic winds are the winds which moves in the upper air atmosphere. Okay, it moves in the upper atmosphere. Now let's see the phenomenon of geostrophical winds and understand it. Basically, we have the equator. So this is the earth. So here the equator. So equator is the region where the sun insolation is very high. So the equator becomes warmer and it becomes a low pressure area. So after becoming low pressure area, it gets warmer. So the air mass above the equator will also get the warmer, and next it moves towards a higher altitude due to the normal lapse rate, and also it experiences a normal lapse rates. Normal lapse rate means nothing but the decrease in the temperature as you increase the altitude. Okay, so as you increase altitude, the temperature of the air mass also decreases. So after reaching the certain level like tropopause, it diverges to the high subtropical high pressure belt. So here it moves towards the subtropical high pressure belt, and here it sinks down, and it becomes a and now it sinks down, and we know that the pressure gradient force, that is pg, that is a wind moves from high pressure area to low pressure area, wind or air mass. So here it moves from high pressure area, that is subtropical high pressure, to the equatorial low pressure belt, and it forms as a new cell. Okay, now the same way in the subpolar low pressure area, that is here, the winds will be getting to the higher altitude at the same as the equator, because this is a low pressure area and it gets warmer and it moves to the higher altitude, and here it becomes a denser and it becomes high pressure area in the atmosphere above upper atmosphere, but it is a low pressure area in the surface area. So after becoming high pressure area, this is the low pressure area compared to the high pressure area at the upper atmosphere, and so the air mass moves towards a polar region, and here it sinks down and it becomes a high pressure area. Then the high pressure area, as a pressure gradient force, it moves towards a low pressure area and it becomes a polar cell. In between we have the Ferrel cell, and here it is a Hartley cell. But in between, while the formation of these cells, there will be a certain gap, and here we have some air mass or wind which doesn't include in the cells. So what happens with that wind is, here we experience, or the wind experience, the force of the pressure gradient, but we also have the uh, effect or the force of the Corliss effect. Corliss effect is nothing but the force which is generated by the rotation of the earth on its axis. Okay, now the wind or the air mass which is here, which escape these cells, have a momentum. So basically the pressure gradient force is moment from the high pressure area, that is from here to the low pressure area. So while moving from high pressure to low pressure, which escaped this circulation or the cell formation, it is a free from this pressure gradient force now. It also experienced pressure gradient force at the upper atmosphere, but it did not included in this formation of the cell. So then what happens is, it is independent of this cell formation. Then there gets the role of the Corliss force. We experience a Corliss force for these winds. Now, as the Corliss force is nothing but the earth rotates. So now here the wind movement is from high pressure to low pressure at the upper atmosphere. But due to the Corliss force effect, it moves towards 90 degrees. It turns toward 90 degrees towards the direction of the Corliss force. That means it is moving from west to east. So initially the direction was like this, that is from high pressure to low pressure. Some of the wind went downwards and it included in the cell formation, but here some of the wind or the air mass has escaped the cell formation. So here there comes the effect of the Corliss effect. So it turns around 90 degrees due to the effect of Corliss effect. So where the here the pressure gradient and the Corliss effect balance, then we can see the geostrophical winds. So first it was like this, but due to the Corliss effect it turns 90 degrees. So this is a thing. So these are the geostrophical winds. And also one thing we need to remember is the jet streams are also part of the geostrophical winds. Jet streams are also called as geostrophic winds. So this is the actual thing. And let's see the definition which we have seen in the NCERT. The definition is, the velocity and the direction of the wind are the net results of the wind generation forces. We know that the velocity and direction of the wind. Okay, the winds in the upper atmosphere 2 to 3 kilometers above surface are free from frictional effect. So the geostrophic winds are generating about 2 to 3 kilometers from the atmosphere, and here it doesn't experience a frictional force because there are no objects present in the upper atmosphere. Mostly the surface contains buildings, trees, etc., etc., and also some or pressure gradient forces because the insulation. So but at the upper atmosphere it doesn't have any frictional forces. So a geostrophical wind does not experiences or free from frictional forces. This is also one thing we need to remember, that is geostrophic winds are free from frictional effect of the surface. And we have seen that geostrophic winds are mainly controlled by pressure gradient force and the Corliss force. Geostrophical winds are formed when there is a balance between the pressure gradient and the Corliss force. When isobars are straight and when there is no friction, the pressure gradient force is balanced by the Corliss force. Okay, and also one thing is, isobars are nothing but the joining of the areas of the same pressure. It forms a isobars. But we can experience a differentiation, that is pressure gradient is nothing but the change in pressure at different levels. But at the surface area we will experiences in the change in pressure from one area to another. But at the higher altitude or the up atmosphere, we experiences same pressure. So there's a equal isobar. So here the isobar will be parallel. So the isobar will be parallel to the geostrophical wind. Okay, this is also one thing we need to remember, geostrophical wind is also parallel to the isobar. So this is known as a geostrophical wind. I think I have explained this geostrophic wind concept better, but if you guys have a doubt in this explanation, you can comment it down. Now let's see the Somali jet stream. Basically, the Somali jet stream is will be occurring at the region of the Somalia, and it is a temporary jet stream. We need to remember this because the examiner might ask or says that the Somali jet stream is a uh, permanent jet stream. So we need to remember it, and we know that it is a wrong statement. So the Somali jet stream is that the jet stream is flow from the over the Arabian Sea and moves towards the India and then moves towards the ASEAN region or the southeast regions of the world. Next, we have the concepts related to the infrastructure. So basically, we have the project of Prabhati Kalisindi Chambal project, PKC project. So basically, this project was included in the national perspective plan. In this national perspective plan, there were 30 links. One of the 30 links project, this Prabhati Kalisindi Chambal PKC project was one of the 30 links project which was mentioned in the national perspective plan. Next, we have the Eastern Rajasthan Canal project. Basically, this Rajasthan Canal project was to transfer the interbasin. Basically, it's a related to the interbasin transfer of water in the region of Chambal. So we need to remember that the Eastern Rajasthan Canal project is happening at the Chambal region. So by this, the Eastern Rajasthan region will be getting water and it will be getting irrigated. Okay. Next, next we have the uh, next we have the index, that is corruption perception index. So here the corruption perception index is an index which is launched by the Transparency International. This Transparency International is a NGO and it mainly focuses on the public sector corruption. So it makes an index on the basis of the considering the public sector corruption. Next, it has a scale that is from 0 to 100, and for 0 it is a negative. That means if you have 0 points, you are very probable of having corruption there. That means if a country has a 0 rank, 0 scale, that means it is a very corrupted nation. And if it has a 100 marks, then it is a not a corrupted nation, it is a well performing nation against the corruption. But India is it's not showing the performance in controlling the corruption because in 2023 India's rank in the corruption perception index was 93rd rank, but in 2024 it is 96th rank. Okay, basically this corruption perception index is also just came before just 2 to 3 days before this video. So that's it. In this corruption perception index, we need to remember the organization, that is Transparency International, and the scale and the rank of India. So these are things which we need to basically remember. And next we have the maps. uh, this is the Iran, and for the Iran, towards the west of Iran we have the ETA, that means Iraq, Turkey, Armenia, Azerbaijan, and towards its east we have the TAP, that is Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan, and towards its north we have Caspian Sea, towards south we have the Persian Gulf. So here we made a mnemonic to remember the nations, that is ETA towards the west and TAP towards the east. Next we have the Lake Victoria. So Lake Victoria is basically included in the three nations or surrounded by the three nations, that is the Uganda, Kenya and Tanzania. UKT, Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania. Basically for maps we need to frequently see them so that have a long term memory. Because of this we can perform very good in prelims by remembering these names. And also here we have the Mount Kilimanjaro. So Mount Kilimanjaro is included or is in the Tanzania nation. Also you guys need to have a look at these lakes, that is Lake Kyoga, Albert, Lake Edward, and Lake Kivu, Lake Turkana, because examiner may ask and may give this lake name and it may give the country name. So that's why we need to have a look at these lakes. And here is a flow of Tana river in the Kenya. Okay, so that's it for the video. If you like the video, please do subscribe this channel, and also please do like, share this video. Bye.